everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Little Give. Today, we are going to be meeting Coach T. He has an empowering story all about how his dad taught him all the ways to be. He is so wonderful, and he goes off to start a nonprofit and help youth become fantastic human beings. Wait till you hear his story. Coach, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us where you're from and what you're all about.
Yes, first and foremost, Cindy, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm very honored to be here and always excited to be on to talk about my passion and my mission and my love for kids. My name is Antwaun Thompson, or as I'm better known by the kids I work with, Coach T. I am the founder and executive director of JLT Fieldhouse, a nonprofit coaching and mentoring organization here in the little town of Salisbury, North Carolina. And I'm also the owner of Coach T's Corner, which is an online mentoring academy that's designed to educate, support, and inspire personal growth and development skills in the teens and preteens of today to better prepare them to be the leaders of tomorrow. I'm also a podcast host. I have a podcast called Developing Tomorrow's Leaders, where I interview educators, parents, former athletes, and all those that have the experience and willingness to also contribute to the next generation of leaders. And most recently, I started a second podcast with a fellow youth empowerment leadership coach, Keith Senzer. We have a podcast called Teen Speak, where we interview middle schoolers, high schoolers, and college students, and they come on and share their challenges. But more importantly, they share their strategies that they've used to overcome those challenges. And all these things, Cindy, I like to share with everybody. I do, and I love doing. And I, unfortunately, I have no children of my own, and that's because I feel like I was given a gift to impact more kids. So I look at it as a blessing and not a curse.
Absolutely. Wow, that's so much you've got going on there. How did you get started with all of that?
Well, it all started actually in 1985, Cindy. I was started coaching basketball. It was a 10 and 11-year-old team, and they were basically leftovers from teams that had been handpicked, and they weren't picked, and they needed more coaches, and they asked me if I wanted to do it. And me being cut from the high school team every year, but still loving the sport of basketball, I said, you know what? I'll do it. And I found out really quickly that I had the ability, or I learned that I impacted these kids far beyond just the sport of basketball. And they impacted me more so, and more so than just the sport of basketball. And I felt like I had something more to give. And the path started there. But a lot of that all stems back also to my father, who actually was not my biological father, but he adopted my older brother and I when we were really young, about 3 or 4 years old. And when he came into our lives, he closed one chapter, but he opened a second, which I feel as though I'm still writing to this day. And it was all of the little things that he did once he came into our lives that have culminated into what I'm doing today.
Can you give us a couple examples?
Oh, absolutely. One of the things that my father told my brothers and I always, 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 if you ever have the ability to help someone, you do it without hesitation and without any expectation of reward. A lot of people don't understand how powerful that is, but that's something that has really driven me with everything that I've done. And one of the other things that he reminded us of really young when we're playing sports, and which I still do now, that when I'm coaching, is sports are just that. They're for fun. And we now live in a society where there's so much pressure put on kids to perform that they're missing out on some of the most important things. And one of the best examples I can give you, and I love sharing this, is every time a child competes in any sport, there are four components that are always in play. And a lot of people don't think about these four components. And one of the first is they're always trying to please their parents. And the second is they're trying to please that coach that they're playing for. And then the third component is they're trying to please their teammates. But the most important one is the fourth component, and that is they're trying to please themselves. And when you put all four of those together and you ask a 10, 11, 12 year old, go out and do the best you can, but also please all four of these different parts of your sport, it gets totally out of whack. And it's one of the reasons kids lose the love for sport. And that's one of the things that I try to remind them of, that sports is fun, but it's also an opportunity to learn also about themselves, but also about life.
Wow, I bet you have some great examples you can share with the audience of kids that you've mentored or helped in this way.
Oh, most definitely, Cindy. Thank you for the opportunity to share that because these are stories that I absolutely love sharing because they mean so much. And one of the best, my favorite ones to share just happened this past year. I just finished my 11th year coaching at a private school, and we recently completed our fourth consecutive conference championship. And you think, oh my gosh, coach got this great team and everybody's just on top of everything. Well, one of the ways that I coach is I instill responsibility and accountability in each player for them to hold themselves accountable. And we had a situation where one of our younger players, these are seventh and eighth grade boys, one of our seventh graders broke one of our team rules. And I knew nothing about it. And the only reason I found out about it, Cindy, was because one or two of the eighth graders approached me and said, "Hey, Coach T, we had one of the guys broke one of the rules. You told us not to do this. He did it." And my initial question was, well, what are we going to do about it? And without hesitation, Cindy, they said, make him sit in the bleachers and watch us run. And I'm like, what? And I kind of smiled. And I'm like, I love that. And I said, I love it so much. I'm going to use that as my punishment. If you guys want to impose any other disciplinary action, you can do that after practice. So I asked the young man, I said, did you do X, Y, or Z? And he goes, yes, sir, I did. And I said, well, here's what's going to happen. Make him sit in the bleachers, and I make his teammates run. And I mean, not just up and down, really made them run. And you could see the look on his face of embarrassment, disappointment, and guilt. But that's what his teammates wanted him to feel for breaking the team rule. Well, afterwards, the team huddled or they got together after practice and they talked for a couple of minutes. And they came out and they said, Coach T, we decided that for our next game, which happened to be our alumni game, this young man would not get to play, nor would he get to dress out with the team. And I'm like, hey, team decision. If you all agree on it, I'm fine with it. I'll support it. What that does, Cindy, and what I need the listeners to understand is this next generation of young people, regardless of their age, they have the capacity, willingness, and the ability to be leaders and to hold themselves accountable, but also to hold their peers and their teammates accountable. And that's a story that I love telling because as a coach, it's one that I'm really proud of.
Hi, my name is Justin Clark, and I'm the president of the board of directors for Driving Single Parents, a 501c3 nonprofit serving the citizens of San Antonio and Bexar County, Texas. I'm here today to tell you a little bit about the great work that our organization is doing for the citizens of San Antonio. What you're about to see is just a few photos and videos of the way that we're changing lives for single parents in and around San Antonio, Texas. Our first giveaway took place in April of 2017, just one short month after the formation of our organization. John, a Bexar County resident, was the victim of a horrible drunk driver incident. He and his daughter survived the crash, and we were so proud to give our first car to this deserving family. Fast forward to 2020, a very difficult year for nonprofits. We were able to secure 4 vehicles for single parents in need. Our organization, including our board of directors, list of partners, and portfolio of people we've been able to help in San Antonio, continues to grow, and it's all thanks to donors and local community organizations that have helped us along the way. This giveaway took place in 2021 and shows that we continue to help single parents even after the struggles brought about by COVID-19. Because of limited funds and the overwhelming need, we at Driving Single Parents are incredibly selective with the people we help. Some are victims of domestic violence. Others had a spouse pass away tragically, or otherwise fell on hard times. These single parents show adversity in the face of challenge and aren't looking for a handout. We offer a hand up and help get them back in the driver's seat. Many of the single parents we help go on to graduate college, get promotions, get married, mentor others, and some have even been so touched by the gift we gave them that they have decided to join our board of directors to pay it forward and ensure the continued growth of our organization. If you would like to help our organization continue to grow and continue to help single parents in need in San Antonio, Texas, and Bexar County, Texas, we would really appreciate your support. Please visit us online at www.drivingsingleparents.org. Thank you.
So, like, what is it about your coaching style that would lead them to that decision?
One word, empowerment. I empower every player that I train and every player that I coach to take ownership and empower them to make decisions that are best for them, be it right, wrong, or indifferent. They must make those decisions because if they don't make them now, they won't be able to make them later. And their parents can't always be there to make those decisions for them. And over time, you can see them taking ownership of that empowerment. And it's one of the greatest things to watch as a coach.
That's so true. So, do you have other camps and other things that you have open to the public?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Actually, most recently, just in the last few days, we finalized our summer schedule. Pre-COVID, we had about 250 kids in our year-round program, which consists of one-on-one lessons, group clinics, summer camp, summer league, and special events. And this year, we are starting our third year with our summer league, which leads to another example. And you're asking about examples. With our summer league, I'm the only adult involved in the summer league. The kids that are participating are 5th through 10th grade, and the coaches for the summer league are the high school students that are participants of JLT Fieldhouse. And it allows them the opportunity to test and build their leadership skills, and I oversee that. And these kids have been in our program for a minimum of 3 to 4 years, so they understand what the expectations are because I've been training them on these things for that amount of time. And this being our third year, I now have more high school kids requesting to help coach than I need, which means that they truly appreciate the opportunity. So I make more opportunities because I'll never tell a child no. I'll find a way for them to participate. And
That's
then
great.
and then we also have a 2nd through 4th grade because we work with kids as young as kindergarten and as old as college age students as well.
That's great. I love that you're able to empower them to go on and like be like junior coaches or, help out in other ways to put them in a leadership role so that they can implement all the tools that you've taught them. That's wonderful.
Yes, I like to tell everybody that our mission statement at JLT Fieldhouse is coaching and mentoring the leaders of tomorrow. Well, now we have coaches coaching and mentoring the leaders of tomorrow. So they're literally in the mix of doing the same thing. And for me, I get goosebumps even talking about it because it truly is a passion. And I love to watch the passion that the kids have, not just as leaders coaching, but as the younger kids and how they respond to these teenagers coaching them. They absolutely love it, and it's a joy to watch.
Absolutely. So is it pretty empowering for you to know that you had this idea and you started this and it's turned from an idea that was once in your head into this big thing that's impacting all of these lives?
Honestly, Cindy, no, until my older brother told me one day. He says, you've got to stop sometime to look behind you to see how far you've come. And I say that because I don't really look at it that way. I don't look at it like I pat myself on the back. It's never about me. It's not about me. If I'm doing all those things to help the next generation of leaders, why would I make it about me? Because I'll never be able to do that. But what makes me proud and happy is when I see that the kids are being successful and they're utilizing the tools that I'm providing for them and other people as well, not just me, but in the environment they're in with me, that they're using those tools and they're applying those and they're seeing the success from it. That's the reward for me. It's not about me.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. But, at the same time, it's really great that you're able to show these kids that, look, I did this. You can too. Like I came up with an idea that was going to be useful and help people for generations to come. And you can too. I'm just an ordinary person doing these things to help others. Don't you
Yeah.
agree?
Oh, I agree 100%. And as you asked the question, Cindy, it really made me think, and I'll backtrack a little bit and I'll tell you how it makes me feel. Every day that I go to work and work with these kids, there's one thing that I carry with me every day. And if there's anything that drives me, it's that thing. And that's my father, because the nonprofit is named in his honor. It's JLT Fieldhouse, and it stands for Joe Louis Thompson. And so that is probably what really drives me because I want him to be proud and know that the things that he taught my brothers and we haven't forgotten and we are paying it forward. And I'm paying it forward the best way that I know how because he's a man that came into a ready-made family and took ownership of it and made it his own family and made us part of his family. And I want to just do the same thing. So if if anything, I'm really want to say that really drives me and makes me proud is me hopefully making my father proud.
Yeah, and then look, you've stepped in for all of these other kids, and you've fulfilled that role as a person they can look up to and learn from, just like he did. So now you made your own family as well. Really?
Oh, 100%. Yes, 100%. And I think you'll appreciate this, Cindy, because it just happened yesterday. I got a text from a young man that I trained for about 2 years, and he's now a junior at North Carolina State University. And he called me, reached out to me and wanted to meet for lunch. And I'm like, yeah, I'd love to. And he lives about 45 minutes away. And the reason he wanted to meet with me is that he was working on a project and he wanted to do the project on JLT Fieldhouse, our nonprofit. And I'm like, wow, really? That's great. Would love to. So we had this great meeting and we go to our favorite restaurant. My wife and I love going. And he texted me yesterday to let me know he got 100 on his project, but that his professor also wanted to meet me because he was really impressed with the work that I'm doing. And again, for me, he's impressed with me, but he's impressed with the organization and how it's run is how I like to look at it. But that's just another example of the impact that kids have. And I haven't seen a young man in 3 years, and he reaches out, so it made that much of an impact on him.
Yeah, and won't it be great one day whenever maybe he has children of his own and he reflects on all the things and all the skills that you taught him, and then uses that for his parenting as well. So what a cool
Oh,
thing.
yes. It really is. And you were asking about stories. I think one that would really bring all of this home, one of the things I neglected to mention was that I wrote a book during the pandemic when our nonprofit was shut down. And that's how Coach T's Corner got started, was because I wanted to continue my work, but I knew I couldn't do it in the gym with kids and being in group sessions or one-on-one. But they still needed guidance, leadership, and direction. And what better way to do that than to be able to still communicate with them virtually? So when I started writing my book, I said, I really would love to get testimonials from former players so that other people can see the impact that coaches have on young people's lives, not just through sport, but some of the things they teach them, the life lessons that they teach. And the very first testimonial I got, which was basically a book in itself when I started reading it, was from one of those 10-year-olds that I mentioned earlier from my very first team that I coached in 1985. And I never knew until I read that testimonial how much of an impact I had made on his life, not just his sport, but just some of the life lessons that I taught, which I didn't even realize I was giving life lessons. I was just doing what I was taught and just paying it forward. But that to me is probably the biggest compliment a coach could ever have, is that from the very beginning of your journey, somebody remembers something and they actually can detail and can recite in detail the impact it had on you and the memories that they had from that, just those 4 or 5 months of their lives.
Wow, that is incredible. That is an incredible story. I'm sure when you read that, you were just overcome with emotions, because how great is it that here you are, you're not even trying to do anything but just pay it forward, and it resonated with these kids and gone so far with them. That's so awesome.
Oh, you were trying to say it. I'll say it for you, Cindy. Yes, I cried like a baby when I read it because it really it touched me that much, and I remember the young man like it was like yesterday. But as I share these things with you, I know you want me to share stories, but there's another one I think that really kind of brings this home too, and I think your listeners will understand how much I love what I do when I get to share these stories. But 2 years ago, I received a message from another former player who said that there was a former player that was trying to get in touch with me and wanted to know if he could share my contact information. I'm like, absolutely. You didn't have to ask that. I'm always welcome the opportunity to reconnect with former players. Well, it turns out that the young man that was trying to reach me was a young man that I coached when he was a freshman in high school in 1990. And I haven't spoken to him since, yeah, obviously, since he was a sophomore, because I coached him for 2 years. It turns out the reason that he wanted to reach out to me was that his now or then 14-year-old son was having issues with his rowing coach. And he started reciting things that I was telling him back in 1990 when I was coaching him. And he wanted to reach back out to let me know how much of an impact I had on him, because now here he is years later sharing the same messages and words of encouragement to his own son that I was shared with him in 1990. So again, that's just one of those things that really holds true. And he didn't think I remembered who he was, but once I found out who he was and we had scheduled a Zoom call, I went downstairs and I dug through my boxes of old teams. I found a team picture. I made it my Zoom backdrop and I circled his head in it so he knew I knew exactly who he was. And it was just one of the greatest moments. As I have goosebumps now. It's just a great moment.
That just goes to show how much you care. You really care about each of these kids and really care about the impact you make. And that is really, really wonderful.
Hi, my name is Andrew Fraley, and I believe that sometimes we all need a little bit of help. If you're in the San Antonio community and you need some legal help, call me at 210-725-4658.
So what do you think it is specifically about your style that is really just encouraging these kids so much and making this huge impact?
Two reasons, Cindy. Number one, I'm very approachable and very genuine and very authentic. What you see is what you get. And when kids recognize that you're genuine and authentic, they're more willing to be open to you over time and building that rapport with them. And the second one is I'm non-judgmental. I don't judge these kids regardless of what they're going through. There's a reason that they're standing or sitting across from you is because there's something that they need assistance with. And if you judge what they're doing, they're going to clam up. They're not going to share with you. And for me, whatever I can do, I want to do. And the only way to do that is to build a good relationship and a great rapport with them. And I guess I have this innate ability to be able to even pull from, some of the kids I work with, it's taken 2 or 3 years to break through, but it's been worth it. And again, an example, and this is one that pulls at the heartstrings every time I tell it, but it's because it's that powerful. As a young man that was really socially awkward, I knew him when he was in the 6th grade. He's now a senior in high school, but he was going through a lot. He lost 2 friends through a car accident. I think one took their life, but he was struggling so much. But we communicated, we built a great relationship, so much so that on his 15th birthday, he invited my wife and I out with his grandparents and his mom for his 15th birthday dinner, which great honor, and absolutely accepted that. So we were out having dinner, and at some point during the night, he excused himself. And while he was gone, his grandparents and his mom admitted to me that had I not come along and started working with him and coaching him, he wouldn't be here today because he was suicidal prior to entering our program. And I'm like, what? So I had no idea. And he was recently a guest on our Teen Speak podcast. And I broke down in tears just talking about him because he's like a son to me. I love him that much because I've seen what he's gone through, the highs and the lows, and how much he's overcome and how resilient that he's become. And it's just a proud moment as a coach, but also I'm proud of him for how he's reached such heights.
Wow, you must go to bed every night with a full heart, just knowing the big impact that you're making.
I go to bed excited, Cindy, because I'm excited about every day. I want to make sure I've done better today than I did the day before, and I've made a child smile, or I've reached somebody and made them feel better. Because if they feel better, I feel better. That's what makes me drive. And then when I wake up, I'm just finding another way to reach another child or another group of kids, and to share a message to let them know that, hey, you know what? There's somebody out there that cares about you for who you are, regardless of what you've been through or what you're going through or what you may be going through. So when that time comes, guess what? Rest assured, you have an outlet, you have a resource, and I want them to openly take advantage of that.
Yeah, and sometimes that's what they need. That's all they need is just someone to be genuine, authentic, and listen. So I'm glad that you make that space available for them. So tell me,
Yes.
whenever you first had the idea to start this nonprofit, what was your first step?
My first step was to decide how I was going to do it because I was trying to decide if it was going to be a for-profit or a nonprofit. And ironically, Cindy, I crossed paths with a gentleman who happened to be the largest philanthropist in our city. And he started the grocery chain Food Line, for listeners that are familiar with the grocery chain Food Line. But we had lunch one day and I had 7 pages of financials. And I was telling him, I said, I have this great idea. I think it's going to be great for the kids in the community. And he goes, I like this. He goes, you mind if I take this with me? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So 2 weeks later, we meet back up and a follow-up lunch, and he hands me over one sheet of paper. And I'm like, well, wait, where are the rest of my papers I gave you? And he goes, no, this is all you need. He consolidated all 7 pages into 1 page, handwritten. And he goes, this is all you need. 3 weeks later, a check shows up in the mail. It's from him. He goes, I believe in what you want to do. I hope this helps. And that was what we were able to apply for our 501c3 and to legally become a nonprofit. And the other big thing was, or not really a big thing, was what was I going to name it? And what was that journey going to be about? People don't know who my dad is. I'm like, well, it's not about my dad. It's about what my dad stood for and what he did for my brothers and I. So that's when the name really stuck, and I've never doubted it for a moment.
Wow, I love that. It's amazing how these people kind of just show up in your life at the right time and can help you with that. You have that inspiration and that thought, and you're, like you said, you were tossing up the ideas, maybe for profit or not for profit. And then you come across this generous person who says, here it is right here. This is what you need to do. And it just all turned into this huge thing that's been going on for how many years now?
We're going into our 8th year, and that's pretty big for a small nonprofit. But like I said, it's a lot of work. But if you stay true to why you do it, it's not work. And for me, it's not work. It's all that administrative stuff that I think is work to some people. To me, it's not work, because I always look at the end result, and I'm willing to jump through whatever hoops I have to make sure these kids have the things that they need. And as you see, these teams here, we offer sponsorships, and this is where fundraising comes in. We have to have fundraising so that we can get as many kids in our program as we possibly can. The coaches for the summer camps are kids. The kids are the participants are kids, and my wife is a big supporter of our board of directors that really help with our camps. But it is just truly a blessing to get the opportunity to impact kids, and more importantly, they want to be a part of it.
Absolutely. So whenever you did the nonprofit, now you've been doing that 8 years strong, and now you mentioned you have a podcast, 2 podcasts. How did you end up in that, and what got you the inspiration to want to start your own podcast and then the co-podcast you're working with?
Yeah. Well, when I realized when I started Coach T's Corner, I knew that I'd have to network to build not only my brand, but it was also an opportunity for me to become a better coach, because I felt like if I'm bringing on people that have the same passion as I do, there's going to be something that they offer that's going to help me, and possibly something that I do that would help them. So when I started this list, I was like, well, I'm going to start with my network of people that I've been working with on and on. That would make it easy. And as I've gone, I've had some guests on, Cindy, Howard Berg, who is the Guinness World Book of Records world's fastest reader. And this guy taught me so much in an hour. And I'm saying to myself, these are the kind of people I need to meet. And I had Michael Jordan's teammate on the 1982 National Championship basketball team at North Carolina, Matt Doherty, on. And I'm really excited. I'm probably actually later this year, I'm going to have Muhammad Ali's older daughter, on the podcast as well. So it's all about networking and also getting more people in front that have the passion and love for young people and want to see them be successful. But it's also an opportunity to showcase other businesses that do the same things that I do.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. That's great. And you're right. The networking and the talking with people, and that, the nonprofit's wonderful, and you get inspired by so many of those stories, but it's kind of neat to get to talk to all the people around the world who also have great things going on. And that's kind of what we do here at the Little Give. And it's something that I really enjoy. Who has been the coolest person that you've met so far that really inspired you?
I actually got to meet my idol. My idol, believe it or not, coaching idol, I should say, was the legendary coach at the University of North Carolina, Dean Smith. And I actually emulate my coaching style as his. He's always about the players. He's developing men, not basketball players. They just happen to be basketball players. He's going to make men. So that's always been my approach. And ironically, I had the pleasure of coaching his grandson my first 2 years coaching here. So I got to meet him one summer when I was working at basketball camp at the University of North Carolina. And you would have thought I was like a kid in a candy store when I saw him. My palms got sweaty, and I'm like, oh my God, this is my idol. And he was just such a gentleman. He was exactly what I thought he was. They always say, never meet your heroes. I'm glad I met my hero, because he was an amazing, amazing man.
That's wonderful. I'm glad you got that opportunity. So one of the things that I like to do on the show is to ask, can you give our audience an example of a little thing they can do in their community that might be something small on their part, but make a huge impact on the other end?
Whew, the timing is perfect for this one. I think one of the things that everybody can do, because I actually go out of my way now to do it because to me it's fun. We're now living in a society where a lot of people are afraid to communicate with each other because we're so divided. You don't know what you can say to anybody. Well, that's what's keeping us divided. So for me, the little thing that you can do when you go to a grocery store, you go to an apartment store, you just pass somebody, say hello with bright eyes, with a smile, and you will be amazed at the response you get. I purposely do it, and I know I've made somebody's day better because they made my day better just by their response. That's a little thing that can go a long way because somebody could be having a bad day, and you could have changed that just by saying hello with a big smile.
That's a great one. Just acknowledging that someone's there and letting them know, like, hello, I see you. That can really make a big impact. I like that one. So is there
Absolutely.
an incident in your life where someone gave you a little give that might have been something little on their end, but it turned out to be a big impact to you?
I'm probably going to have to go with my coaching mentor, and that is Coach Mike Sutton. And the reason I say Mike Sutton, he's the one that offered me the position as the freshman and junior varsity basketball coach at Meadowbrook High School in 1989. Actually, that opportunity, it really afforded me the opportunity to continue coaching, but also led me to where I am today. And he and I still are communication. We live an hour from each other. He's now retired from coaching. But he provided a little opportunity that I made the most of. And I was always taught when somebody gives you an opportunity, my mom said, you got an opportunity, you make the most of it because you never know where that opportunity is going to lead you. And the opportunity Coach Sutton gave me led me to you and I having this conversation today.
That's incredible. Wonderful. So obviously our audience already knows about your nonprofit. Do you want to tell them how they can get in touch with you and how they can go ahead and make donations to keep your program going?
Yes, thank you so much for that opportunity, Cindy. Our nonprofit website is jltfieldhouse.org, and there's a link on our website where you can contribute. You can donate one time, or you can actually make monthly donations, annual donations, corporate donations as well. And I really want to share what these donations afford us the opportunity to do. We live in a community where we have a low income area, and there are a lot of families that are struggling financially, obviously post COVID, but even before. And their kids are deserving of the same opportunity that other kids are, but they can't, and in some cases they won't ask. But if we have the funds, we're able to go and say, hey, listen, this is what we have. Scholarship opportunities, come be a part of it. Last year, we were able to add 20 more kids to our program. This year, we want to double that number, if not triple it. And we live in a society now where I like to say the call to action is if we truly care about kids and we want them to have a better future, now is the time to make a difference and make your opportunity. And every little bit helps. It could be $1. I could care less. $1 a month goes a long way in providing something. Provide us a private lesson, a clinic for a kid, a summer league opportunity, a summer camp. You'd be amazed at what these kids get out of just being in a gym for an hour, 2 hours a week.
Wow, that's incredible. So I'm impressed. 20 kids. That's wonderful. And you expect to go to 40? That's
Oh,
insane.
oh, absolutely. And I think, Cindy, if I could be honest with you, one of the reasons I say that, the one of the reasons kids come back to say, Coach T, you know what makes you different? You don't just coach basketball, you teach us how to play basketball. And they said, you're teaching us how to play basketball, but you're teaching us how to communicate. You're teaching us about accountability. You're teaching us about discipline. And we realized that that's going to help us later in life to be responsible, to be disciplined, and to be responsible. I'm like, yeah, so you put two and two together and got 14. Good job. So that's what the kids realize and the parents realize it. And parents keep bringing their kids back and they admit it to me. They say, we don't bring them because of basketball. We bring them back to you because we see their confidence rising and the self-esteem improving every time they're with you because you invite them in and have a loving environment. Yeah, you're tough on them when you have to be, but they appreciate that tough love.
Right. That's fantastic. I really, really love what you're doing. I think that it's inspiring, it's helpful, and that's what young people need today. They need someone that can stand their ground, like you said, and make things happen when they need to happen, but then also be that shoulder to lean on and be that person that they can confide in, and also be non-judgmental and listen. So I think it's fantastic that there's a safe place like this for kids out there. So I would certainly encourage our audience, anyone out there who wants to donate maybe $1, $5, any little give can make a big difference in a small nonprofit. And I have no doubt that these funds would go to a fantastic cause. Thank you so much for being on today, Coach. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience before we go?
Yes, I'd like to share 3 things with them, and it's really the staple for Coach T's Corner. Whatever you're doing in life, you need to remember 3 things. They're over top of my head. The C of success: simplicity, effort, and attitude. Life is already complicated enough. Keep it simple. And regardless of whatever you're going after, whatever you want to achieve, put forth the maximum effort. Because if you don't put forth the effort, you don't get the reward. And number 3, the attitude. More important than effort and simplicity, your attitude will always keep you focused and on putting forth the effort. Your attitude will always keep you focused on that simple goal. But more importantly, a positive attitude won't solve all your problems, but it will annoy enough people to make it worth the effort.
What fantastic words of guidance. I love that. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. I've really appreciated your time, and you've shared an amazing message with our audience today, and that's what it's all about. So thank you so much.
Well, and thank you, Cindy. I really appreciate the opportunity. This has been great, and I love the name of your show because it does mean a lot, and I think everything I talked about kind of relates to that as well. So I really do appreciate it very much.
Thank you all so much for watching this episode of The Little Give. I really enjoyed Coach T's story, all about how his dad inspired him to keep giving and helping others. I love how he took that and turned it into a nonprofit to help these youth. I think it's amazing that he plans to help 40 underprivileged youth go to these camps and do the different things that they can to help empower them and raise great people. I think his message stems for generations. I love how his impact on a small child turned into his impact onto an adolescent, and then onto an adult, and then that person's impact on their child, and then that child's impact on another person, and how that just keeps going and going. And I love how all of the things he are doing inspire him so much that it really comes out in his voice, and as he's telling us the wonderful success stories that he's experienced over time. I just really enjoyed it, and I hope you did too. If you want to know more about Coach T or donate to his nonprofit, even if it's $1 or $5, that can make a big impact to a nonprofit of that size. So please do visit our website at littlegive.com. You can find all of his information there. And if you'd like to be a guest on our show, or you have suggestions for our show, please also visit us at littlegive.com. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.